When I woke up at approximately 7 a.m. this morning, I did not think the first story I was going to be reading about was an NBA player actually speaking his true feelings. You all know exactly what I'm talking about because in every interview or every time a player gets asked a question, you get the same robotic response no matter what the question is. Oh, we played good defense, we're trying to get better as a team, just same shit every single time. So it was so refreshing to open a story where LeBron James of all people put somebody on blast, and I'm pretty sure you've heard about it by now. What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and after about a decade of taking so much criticism from the media, LeBron James finally exploded, and victim number one, Charles Barkley. And this is going to be fun because at the time of this recording, I don't believe Charles Barkley has had a chance to respond to everything LeBron James says, but when he does, I assume it's going to be pretty sweet because, man, LeBron... I'm laughing just thinking about it because I didn't expect this from LeBron. So basically, you guys watched my last video, you know this is going off of what LeBron James said about he needs a playmaker and the roster isn't good enough to repeat. Well, I didn't really touch on that much, I just assumed everybody had already seen it. The TNT conversation that went on between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, and basically there was a big argument about, you know, LeBron shouldn't be asking for more help, and Charles Barkley questioned his competitiveness and said that he wants all the good players, and basically he just criticized him like he has been doing for a very long time now. The only difference this time is LeBron is in a pretty shitty mood this month. I mean, when your team is trying to repeat but you have less wins in a month, in a calendar month, than the 76ers, things are probably going pretty bad, and they really are for LeBron right now. So the comments caught him at the wrong time, and I'm just gonna read off what he said because he went in on Charles Barkley. Quote, "I'm not gonna let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying." In another quote, he says, "I know he wanted to retire a long time ago, but he can't. He's stuck up on that stage every week." That's basically saying that Charles Barkley does TNT because he has to, because he can't afford to quit. So, goddamn, that's savage. He also goes on to say, "All I've done for my entire career is represent the NBA in the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respected the game. Print that." He keeps on going to say, "I collect one paycheck from this. There's the owner, Griff's the GM, I'm the player. Screw Charles Barkley." Wow. So let's just go ahead and unpack this a little bit because there's a lot there. You know, the most important thing to understand about this is that this is not... The comments that Charles Barkley made on Monday, that was not the beginning of this whole thing, okay? LeBron James has been holding this in on Charles Barkley for a really long time, and we know that just players in general don't like to talk to the media and say what they're really feeling. We know 99.9% of these guys, they don't go raw and unfiltered like LeBron went today. And I'm gonna link you guys to it, and I'm also gonna show it on the screen. You can see a complete history of Charles Barkley basically criticizing LeBron James, and the most LeBron has ever said back to him is basically shut up, and that was through the Dwayne Wade situation. Charles said something about Dwayne Wade when they played together in Miami, and LeBron just said shut up right there. You know, he wasn't really entertaining it. But Charles Barkley has been criticizing this man for a very long time. He had things to say in the 2015 finals. He called LeBron James' decision in 2011 a punk move. He said things even in 2008 before the decision. He didn't like how LeBron was talking about what he might do in a couple of years in free agency that far out. This man has been all over him. I'm gonna link you guys to where you can read all about it. Now, let me go ahead and put it out there. I think both Charles Barkley and LeBron James, they were both right and they were wrong, okay? Because in everything that they said, they had points, but they made some mistakes. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. First of all, I'll start with Charles Barkley's mistake. I'll say from the thing that happened between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley on TNT, the only thing I didn't agree with Charles Barkley on there is questioning LeBron James' competitiveness, because he was saying, you know, does he want to compete? He wants all the best players, and, you know, I pretty much agreed with him about, you know, you really shouldn't be going to the media in the middle of the season about what you want to be done with the roster. But, okay, listen, you can question a lot of things about LeBron James' career. The one thing you can't question is the man's will to compete. First of all, we just watched him come back from a 3-1 NBA Finals deficit. It was some of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Regardless of what shape Golden State was in, LeBron balled his ass off. And I just have too many memories off the top of my head of LeBron James being competitive to actually question whether he wants to compete or not. All those years in his first stint in Cleveland, those were all competitive. He did everything he could to get that roster to the top, and there just was no help there. Does 2007 against the Pistons ring a bell when the man scored like the last 25 points for Cleveland in that playoff game? What about in 2008 when they took the Celtics, the championship team Celtics, 7 games and almost beat them in Boston? That game 7 was close. What about in 2010? Cavaliers were up 2-1. Of course, people accuse him of quitting there, to which I just think Boston was honestly the better team. I was telling people that the whole time anyways, but whatever, you can debate what happened there because some do think he was just ready to move on. But what about 2015? Do y'all remember that? What about when there was no Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving and this man still got 2 games off of Golden State? Go look at his stat line in 2015. That was crazy. Some of the stuff he had to do to just get those 2 wins, that was crazy. I'm sorry, but I will never roll with anybody who questions this man's competitive spirit because it's clearly there. All the proof is in the past. So yeah, Charles Barkley was dead wrong for questioning LeBron James being competitive, but to be honest, when you look at some of these comments that LeBron made about Charles, I can't, man, these were kind of malicious. Like, if you know the backstory behind these were pretty malicious comments. And the thing is, they didn't really have to do with basketball. And I think that's the problem that most people, as the time moves on, they're going to take with these comments, is that Charles Barkley criticized LeBron James, I believe, from a basketball standpoint, questioning him being competitive, you know, questioning some of the moves in his career when he went to Miami. Those are all basketball related things. But then you have LeBron James responding to him, talking about his debt in Las Vegas and him missing All-Star weekend because he was out partying, and him accidentally spitting on that kid, which I don't think a lot of you might remember if you're too young. As far as I think about that, I don't know if LeBron James' comments to Charles Barkley matched what Charles Barkley said to him, because as far as I can remember, I don't really remember Charles Barkley criticizing LeBron James off court ever. I mean, nobody really questions LeBron off court. He's totally right about that. He has represented the NBA properly. He sends kids to college. He does everything right off court. He is, I would say he's probably a role model off the court. No, nobody questions that, and I don't think Charles Barkley questioned that. So I think the mismatch is kind of Charles Barkley criticizes you about basketball, and you criticize some of his deepest, darkest mistakes. But again, it goes back to what I said, where I believe that this response, LeBron James, I think he just took a lot of what he's been feeling out on Charles Barkley, because I'm not even so sure these comments against Charles, I don't know if it was just anger towards Charles as much as it was anger towards the media on LeBron, just really in general in this last decade. I mean, think about it. In the last 10 years, date back to 2007, LeBron James has been the single most criticized player in the NBA probably ever. I would say he's the most criticized player in NBA history. There was the whole thing about him being the chosen one and the king, and ever since he made the finals in 2007, people were waiting for him to win his first ring for another 4 years, and when he didn't win in 2010, the whole world collapsed on him. And don't think for one second, just because he tells y'all he doesn't listen to what you say, don't think he hasn't heard this stuff. I think if you've been following LeBron long enough, you can clearly see that he cares what people think about him. So my point with saying that is, when you think about what the climate around LeBron James has been in general for the last 10 years, he's heard it, he's seen it, he knows what's out there. And I think this response to Charles Barkley, of course it has a lot to do with what Charles said, but I also think I think this is just a general lashback right now, especially because January has been probably the worst month of his career since about like 10 years ago. I saw some crazy stat about that. This is just a bad time, and I think it's all coming out. I think it's all coming out because of that. But I'm gonna link you guys to, just in case for some reason you live under a rock and you didn't see what Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith were all arguing about on TNT, I'll let you go listen to it and decide for yourself. Do you think what Charles Barkley said was malicious? Because, you know, I'm listening to it, and just as a grown man myself, I don't really think there was anything like so malicious in there that LeBron had to go in on it and air out his personal information like that, like talking about the debt to Las Vegas and stuff like that. Like, that's a little bit deeper than basketball. And you know what? I'm going to do the world a favor, okay? I know nobody's brought this up all day, and it's going to take a minute because it's happened 10 years ago, but just go ahead and compare the situations of how Kobe Bryant conducted himself when Charles Barkley criticized him. Charles Barkley called Kobe Bryant a quitter in the 3-1 when the Lakers blew the 3-1 lead to the Suns, and Kobe Bryant only took a very small amount of shots in the second half of that game. Charles Barkley, he accused him of quitting on his teammates and called him selfish, and you know, he made some remarks about him, but they were basketball related. So Kobe didn't really get sensitive over it and lash out at him like he could have. He went on TNT and confronted him face to face, and they talked about it. They had a man-to-man discussion about their problems. And yeah, I don't think anybody really remembers that. That's why you haven't seen or heard about it since this beef came up. But you know, you just kind of contrast those situations, compare and contrast, and one kind of looks better than the other. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I support players saying what's on their mind, so I'm not really bashing LeBron for saying what he said. Part of me believes that the better thing for LeBron to do would have been to get face to face with Charles Barkley like Kobe did and tell him why he was wrong, because the only thing I think Charles Barkley said that was really wrong in that whole thing with Shaq was that LeBron wasn't competitive. So LeBron could have got up there face to face and told him exactly why you should never question him being competitive, just like I did. And now you got Dwayne Wade defending LeBron James. I'm not going to read this long paragraph, you guys can read it, and Dwayne Wade sticking up for his buddy because you know they're best friends. And you know, it's not a great look. It's not a great look, especially when other players have been criticized before and they just go face to face and handle it. I don't think that's really a great look. So those are basically my thoughts on this. I'm going to make sure I link you guys to this Kobe Bryant and Charles Barkley film. I said I was going to do it in one of my older videos and I didn't, so I definitely got you guys this time because it's really relevant. By the time I post this video, I'm pretty sure Charles Barkley will have responded and I won't be able to make changes to this video. So whenever Charles Barkley does respond, I'm tentative. I don't know if he's actually going to. I don't know how hard the response is going to be. I'll cover that if it's worth covering, but I definitely just wanted to get these thoughts out because regardless of if Charles responds or not, I definitely wanted to talk about what I thought Charles said was wrong and how I thought, kind of how I thought that LeBron James could have handled this situation better. And yeah, his comments, I just don't think they really match the situation. So to wrap this video up, just so you guys know, I support players saying whatever is on their mind. I think there was a better way the situation could have been handled, and maybe they will talk about it and go ahead and clear the air with this. I don't know where it's going from here because LeBron James sent a massive challenge to Charles Barkley today, and Charles Barkley, he can either just laugh it off like he did when LeBron first said shut up, or he can take this a step further. So I'm going to be interested in seeing that. As always, I definitely want to know what you guys think. Do you think these comments were warranted, or do you think that LeBron went too far, or do you think he just went with the right amount with the amount of years that Charles Barkley has had his name in his mouth? However you feel about it, make sure you leave that in the comment section. Like, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want to receive notifications on my videos. And if Charles Barkley responds about it, that's where I'll see you guys next time.